live back here on Erangel, and it's going to be an exciting one, I am sure. Wow. The zone is always plane dependent, we should point in right now, and well, the plane is probably quite awkward, I'd say, for a lot of these teams. Yeah. Very southern.
Big time awkward, particularly for teams like Icarus Cyber, who they normally would be looking to contend a certain area, but this time around they've given up that drop and claimed Severny as their home time. But it looks like once again they're going back towards the west side of Millie Base, which could pay off hugely because that is a very prominent zone possibility on a flight path like this, is the western tip of Millie Base. If it goes there, they have the perfect position. They can take the grannies on the high ground early and hold it down from all angles. A very defensible spot. But if it goes on the mainland, if it goes north, they've got to cross that bridge where E-Arena is lurking. We still haven't seen the bridge camp yet, but when we do see it, let me tell you, it is very, very scary indeed. So we will see exactly what the zone has in store for us. We could very well see a repeat of game number 1 zone, which would be a great bit of news for a couple of teams. Cerberus, Buriram again have a lot of control. Let's find out where we're going.
It's going to be an interesting one, I'm sure. I know that PCS is
wow.
okay games. Sure it looks like that's the case. Monty, he's heard the vehicles and now he wants to capitalize off of it. Spray connects with only 22 damage, though. Flashbang looks to follow and maybe find a little bit more. AT up over the ridge and spotted from range as Monty tries to hit the seat swap. It's going to be Mirage in the end who gets the knock on the board, needs to convert it to a kill, and will be able to do exactly that. Bliss need to try and reposition his Insight with that long-range cover, does a lot of damage onto Y8, but it looks like Mirage is preoccupied with the vehicle, not paying attention to Y8 behind, and that will be to his detriment. Monty falls as well as Icarus Cyber barely remain in it, but God, they have turned things around quickly.
Will be bleeding out as well, so it's a 2-2, and Insight just looking for the peak. He does get the final bullet in, so could be able to turn things around with one final knock, but a grenade in the hand of Y8 could put an end to that. Just gets the wrong tree, though. Very unfortunate.
But that will give Insight a little bit of safety to work with. Ultimately, though, Bliss are down to 2 players at best for the rest of the game. Insight playing point as Bryn tries to move around the side. They know that AT is going to be down and will be able to provide a little bit of info. Thankfully, he does bleed, and it leaves only Y8 left up. He is going to start moving away. I'm sure this will be Insight's cue to start landing some shots. Unfortunately, though, the ridge is there for cover, and Y8 gets to safety. If he chooses to take this one...
Yes, Simon T. What a sneaky little sausage, crawling his way up towards MS Chamburi on the eastern side, but that'll be a while before he has any impact. Quite the opposite of Jervis and Leo. Over from.
It's going to be tricky as a solo. Absolutely no support. He's just going to pull up below the expendables. I think he kind of knows how this is going to go. Just wants to try and salvage a couple points off of it. Out in the open. Duck Juice peeks over. It's the end of Bliss out in 16th position.
To try and help him out.
Teddy opens up with the SLR and, well, takes down a Jervis. SGD now in some real trouble as they've been caught completely off guard. Sophia doing what he can to try and anchor round the back and maybe find an opening, but honestly, they are completely unaware that PMA have such a pinch being pulled out on him. SGD are in some real trouble. The nades will come out and get thrown behind. I think they are aware that there is a pinch coming out, but the question is how effectively will it work? And it appears that Mr. Clay is the one to put in some of that work. Circle pulls down towards them, and it's going to be a very open finish. So both of these teams could potentially slot themselves into the final few phases, but they need to wrap up this fight quickly if that's to be the case. Mr. Clay still there for the fire support as the rest of PMA close in. Sophia looks for an opening. Leo can't find one either as nothing seeming to connect. SGD just banging their heads against a brick wall right now. They are not finding anything out of this.
Okay, this is the most Nordra thing I've seen all day, and we've already seen quite a lot of it. Just sprinting, shift Wing across wide open territory with multiple teams on all angles to plonk a nade down. Oh, it's almost so perfectly placed, just the timing slightly off, but it doesn't matter because the spray is more than enough. The barrels of
rest, they realize they're not getting pushed. From the future
send?
moving in, though, is potentially going to change it. Delta Mix leads the charge as
Oh, no.
tries to remain standing. Trick takes down his own teammate, but in the end, it's Icarus Cyber who go down. Flash with the third party takes down Man, and Daytrade looking to trade a couple kills out of this one. Cerberus involved onto Expendables, so they can't even third party. It's really Cerberus who are a threat here. As Flash goes through, it hits Trick down. Only Delta Mix left up, and well, Daytrade, it should be theirs for the taking.
Vehicular manslaughter from FTF, friendly fire, and Teddy just can't catch a break with these vehicle sends. This time it works out for Flash. They actually hit him. They heard the crunch of Delta Mix, and it got the flush onto Trick as well, and that vehicle fort is looking mighty tasty.
Oh, Expendables.
He's only got Molotovs. He doesn't have grenade, but he's got a teammate that does. Just to the side, 777 lining up a nade into the smoke. It's going to bounce just a tickle too far, but it bounces back onto Belmoth. Puchills just about avoiding the fire. Flash the same, but this little dip is just going to be a huge problem for every single one of these teams.
And don't forget, there's flashbangs coming through as well. Every bit of util that can be thrown is being thrown, and Flash is going to fall victim to that. It's only going to be Puchills and Nuren's left up as well. Make it just Puchills. Monkey trying to get involved from the backside of things. It's Kang who throws out the nade to really do the damage. As Puchills, I don't think he even knows what's going on. He tried to throw an underhand nade. I think it was a smoke. It worked. Origami Orangutans get taken out in 7th by Cerberus. That's the end of Daytrade. But now Expendables are in the same position with even less cover and all of those blown up vehicles in front of them.
Look at that. Top 5 in this game is the top 5 in the standings. It's a huge performance from all of these teams. They have to try and fight their way out of this situation. They're getting a little bit of covering fire, and Sapnik's still able to find angles, but Hymas through the smoke sits down Lyrics, and it's all on Sapnik's with the MK in the blue zone.
It looks like, though, Buram want to get a little bit more proactive. You can see them moving. They are just waiting for the pop almost.
They're actually getting somewhat gifted a little bit of extra cover. Eddie can keep his way over to the left as soon as PMA are dealt with. Ooh. Oh no, he gets one tapped. No helmet. That's a huge, huge boost to KMF. And that one tap could have been avoided had Eddie had a helmet, but unfortunately didn't have one. And now we're have to scramble to get him back up, but they've been gifted some cover in the form of a couple of crates. If he could have got over to that, he gets the helmet for free, the upgrade, maybe even the weapon he can make a move with. But look, Nordra and Canaxi still trying to close the distance, trying to just probe with grenades to see whether they're in range of Cerberus just yet. It's not quite the case. Cerberus finally forced to make a move out of their position in the zone by the Phase 8 shift. They do have enough smokes to try and make it to this little ridge, and those grenades are already dangerously close to Buram, a little bit closer, and they're really in trouble.
Tyken still anchoring behind as Hymas up top. I mean, look, they got the smoke down for cover. It's brave. And you also have to remember that I think a lot of people forget is when you have that high ground, it is a lot easier to look over a smoke and see what's behind it. And that's a clear example of it. Cheeksing really thought that he was completely open, but the kill is stolen away by Teddy. PMA, even with the final player, are looking to third party. And as much as I dismiss their chances, if these two squads trade it out enough, Teddy could very easily come in and get involved. I say that, but the caster curse comes through. It's Nordra who takes him out. Izaki with a spray is going to be forced to back off, but in the end, Teddy goes down and Hymas looks to close the distance as well. Flash is coming through as I think Cerberus realized just how limited their util is, that ammo to work with, but you don't need a lot of ammo when you hit shots like that. Sololzi putting in work, and it's Cerberus with the second chicken dinner. Saga, you were right. Look, you said there was such a slim chance they make it to PGC. It feels like that chance is just growing bigger and bigger. They are already in first by a significant margin, and they don't show any signs of stopping.